All right, we are live. Welcome, lads. Some of you might have listened to me before. I have done a couple of streams before, but for some of you, it might be the first time. Good luck in your learning endeavors, everyone. Yeah, that would be nice to have. Right. So I kind of have no idea where to start from. So I have prepared kind of a list, but we'll take it easy and just go with the flow. I will try to follow it. Let me just show you for now, and actually just prepare. Okay, I'm opening the stream on another PC so I can keep an eye on it. And I'm gonna switch to desktop right away. I don't have anything to hide anyway. And here I have written what I kind of have in mind for these streams, because it's not gonna be just one. It should be kind of a series, and we're starting from the basic level. And you see, getting the right blender, that's very important. Adding the plugins and all that stuff. Then we move into the beginner level. Head models, we're making UVs. Would open a steady model that was requested on the thread. And shading, yeah. Intermediate level, transparency and outlines, and a simple FPM. Then advanced level with custom bitmaps, that's something you can do very nice tricks with. UV scroll and modeling from scratch. I'm not an expert in modeling, but I can kind of do some stuff. And then what I call expert level, but I only had one thing in mind for that. The 3D UV scroll, which I've used for my current masterpiece, Gallo Penguin. Also, as you can hear, I am kind of an ESL, so if there's any word you can't understand and you feel it was important, feel free to ask me about that again. Okay. That, I'm gonna close Big Sword, fuck it. So we can stay focused. Also, let me check. Remember my choice. I think this should be recorded somewhere. Yeah, it is being recorded. Don't worry about that. I'm streaming both on Twitch and on YouTube at the same time, thanks to an OBS plugin. And so it's getting archived on both. So you get in Twitch for 1 week. It's getting deleted after that automatically, unfortunately. And even besides that, beyond that, you get YouTube. So I'm not running local recording. I don't need that. Also, let me put the proper theme on my notebook. Should be fine. Okay. Doesn't look great, but it's watchable. When does A play? You cannot ask me about that. My memory is so shitty. I will just go to the wiki. Hello. Okay, we're starting from getting the right blender. So let's go to Blender. What do we find on Google? We find blenders, of course. Will it blend? And all that stuff. But the first link is fine. You can also go straight to download, but let's go to the first link. Let's do it foolproof, retard proof. Already donated? No. Download, okay. Fuck it. The freedom to create, sure. Wow, V5 came out already. Just a few days ago. Oh, I guess I could take a look later. Don't answer this, but I kind of wonder how to do this shit on Linux. Well, I guess you can grab the Linux version and it should just work. I just reckon Toki and Mahjong as a Remember to put Y on +1. If you don't, you're just getting the normal version, the latest version if you download here. You need to go to previous versions. Does it download any Blender requirements? Download any Blender version. There we go. You need this specifically, and it's not working. There we go. So, and as you might have seen in pretty much every tutorial, you need 2.79, and we grab the B version. Be very careful not to grab the C, which is no longer here, fortunately, because it was just an experimental version with lots of bugs. Anyway, now the last choice is, what do we grab here? MSI is a Microsoft installer. Zip is a portable version, standalone. And you got 32 bits or 64. Well, everyone has a 64-bit system now, right? Clueless? No, not really, but just grab 64 if your system is 64. And grab the portable version. It's much better. You don't need to install this shit. Let me just put it on a new folder here where we're gonna do stuff. Save, and here we go. And there it is. So you just extract it wherever you want. And you're done. You don't need to install it. So why not install it? Because that way you can use other versions, either older or newer, without the pain of having to uninstall or reinstall or not knowing which is the main one and all that stuff. So if you want, just make a link send it to desktop, you create a shortcut and then it's on your desktop. Or you can also pin it to start and then you get in on the start menu. So you got it here. And now we need the plugins. Do you still need 2.71 for anything? There were a few plugins which were the Regets package. But those were for 2.67 or 69, and I should have that. Let me check. But no, besides that, you don't need the 2.71 for anything. You can just use, I do have it here, but because of, okay, you can use 2.71 for that other package. So, but nowadays with the newest plugins, you can do anything without using that older plugin, which used to be used for static models. It was the only plugin that would allow you to put multiple meshes in a model. But you don't need that now. 2.78a is where I got never mind. 2.79b. Okay. Anyway, let's grab the plugins. So, I'm playing rigged, which should be pinned for everyone. Quote asks me, can we put the aesthetics portal on the sidebar? Yes, we could. It wasn't warranted when it was just aesthetics tutorial, but now we can just do that. So let me do that on the fly. You can get to see behind the scenes. So we got the main page. No, it's actually sidebar. Here. Oh. Everything. There we go. Maybe we saw sidebar. And it's just a page that with the levels and the pages it links to. And I can edit it. So past tools, let's put it below this one. So on the left is the page. Also let me put on some music. That's very quiet. So it doesn't sound so lonely. And let me switch to headphones. Okay. You might have heard this one. Yeah, Café de Toho. Yeah, it is tough because it's the only 5-hour track I had in mind, in hand. If you want some other music later, if you want to propose some, which is as calm as this, feel free. We can use it for next stream. Anyway. Now we have it here. Alright. So the aesthetics portal and the Blender tutorial. Let's see if it gives you European tools. Let's see. Aesthetic scripts. This. Okay, never mind. We should put it here too. Pack the link to the pack, so people don't have to go to tutorials. Here in useful, not useless, useful stuff. Anyway, you go here to Blender tutorials, you get Blender, and it tells you need this version here. And then there's the Blender starter pack, which doesn't look like a link. I need to add the line. And it takes you to Toolfuck. So it was here in Blender, yeah. So we download that. Certified to Hominati stream. Thanks Google. I think that's so in a nutshell. Anyway, let's keep this sheet. We have downloaded it and we have it, let's assume we have it where it should be actually. Never mind, let's download it. Let's assume we have downloaded it. We have actually downloaded it. Let's unpack that too. Okay, this Blender starter pack comes with a very quick readme how to use, which is this. Then a couple tips and then the changelog for the nerds who care about that. So you need to have a Blender version between 2.73 and 2.79. The B is recommended. And now open the following folder. Let's follow that. New one. We have to go to users, username. So C, users, username, app data, roaming, Blender Foundation, here, and then Blender. Let's assume we don't have that, because we have just downloaded Blender. We have never made aesthetics before, so this one is sold. We don't have it. If you don't have it, open Blender. Okay, let's go back here. So let me put that in foreground. There we go. So open Blender. Go to File. Use because when you first open Blender, you say, "What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is this?" Yeah, just ignore that. Go to File, User Preferences. Then click on Save User Settings, which is here. To create a folder, then close Blender. Okay. And now we should have the folder. If we come here to roaming, we have this. We have this. So we have to go to Blender Foundation Blender. We have 2.79. Select your current version folder, for example 2.79, and make a duplicate of it for backup reasons. Okay. Copy paste. There we go. Delete the two folders inside. Well, there's only one. I guess that's fine. And copy the ones from the back. Okay. We have said move the ones from the back. It's a little faster, you don't need to copy them. Anyway. Me when I launch Blender is in 2.79. Yeah, I know that feel. We have a little bit of water. Okay, done. You can open Blender now. Let's check out the tips. It's just two. If you want to customize the default layout of settings, just press Ctrl U to save your changes into the starter file. So U as it's a layout, I guess. If you already have a custom layout or set of settings you want to keep, that's for intermediate or advanced people, avoid copying the config folder and only copy the scripts folder. Okay, that's all. So it said we can now open Blender. We go back here and we open Blender. Okay, now for me this is very familiar. For you it must still be what the fuck is this or whatever. It does look a little bit cleaner, I bet, or even for a beginner. So that said, getting the right Blender and adding the plugins. Now basic UI usage and controls. And let me put that on the side, the other monitor. So first thing I'm gonna do, but you of course don't need to do that, is fire up a plugin that shows you the keys on screen, what I press. Okay. Oh shit, it's a little bit tiny. I guess that's because this is a 4K monitor. I guess I should change the resolution, but I guess you can see. Yeah, you can see. A guy on chat say N, so I guess you can see. It's fine. Also, it shows you the clicks, but those are even smaller. And it should show you, yeah, the middle button press. Middle button here. And yeah. Yeah, it works. Anyway. Now, how to use Blender for absolute beginners. Here you can scroll to zoom in and out. That's very important already, because if you want to move from here to there, you can just scroll out, point here, and scroll in. It will scroll towards where the cursor is. You don't really count. I don't really count because you have full screen on a. It is. Yeah, it is downscaled to 1080p for the stream, so it should be as readable as on a 1080p monitor. Besides this, damn it. Anyway, I was saying it scrolls out from where the cursor is pointing. You see, and it scrolls into where it's pointing. So tack, 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 tack. Okay, this is already very important. Also, another very important thing is middle mouse button to rotate the view. As you see, you can keep going and the cursor will just teleport to the other side. That's kind of neat. And if you got a mouse with side buttons, I really recommend binding the middle button press to a side button for this. At least when you're using Blender. Because it's much more comfortable than having to click on the mouse wheel, which is what you would normally have to do. Okay, that said, another thing you have seen just now, with T and N, you can show a couple menus, side menus, which will be useful later, but for now just know that they're there. And last thing, every time I do something like, for example, press Alt S or Ctrl S to move something, anything I do here, you can just search by pressing space and do, for example, write translate, and then you get it here, and it tells you the shortcut for that. For example, S is for scaling. I know it by heart, and well, it's very simple because S scales. But if you don't know how to scale, you just press a space, type scale, and fuck, it's not there. I guess you just have to remember that one. That's weird. But most of them, especially the weirdest ones, the ones you actually need to search, they're all there. Okay. Now, basics of models is the next stop. Oh, never mind. And there was something else to know about Blender. You have these. These are called panels. And you can move them around, resize them at cost of the other panels. And like these two, you can ignore these two on the top there just for showing errors and stuff. For example, this error here. And this one here too. You can also create new ones, but I'm gonna show you later because that's too much information for now. And now the basics of how a model is made. Let's do something very simple now. Let's add, and there are a few things. Force field, never noticed that one. Wow. Lamp, there's a lot of stuff you don't ever need. The only one you need here ever, usually, is mesh. Because we're dealing with meshes, not curves, not surfaces, not all that weird shit. We get meshes. And we do add cube. The most basic of models. We got it here. Cube, defender of the polyverse. And you can rotate, you can look at it from all the other angles, and look how fast it is. Prepare yourself for cube. Yeah. Okay. Now that we have added a cube, we get something new. We get this one on top, right? Now this panel here, let's start. This panel on the left is called the 3D view. You can see it here, it's the 3D view. Because clicking here changes the panel you get to show here. And also shows you what's currently used, 3D view. This one here is the UV or image editor. It's gonna come into play later. These ones are for data and scripts and stuff. This one here is called the outliner. No, wait. We can just have a bot. Yeah, we do have a bot. If you're watching, we do have a bot. And if I click this one, we get to show this one. We can hide it by dragging it down, but it's usually hidden because we don't need it. Because each of them have some menu bar. You can see. You can hide it, and there's a plus that tells you, yeah, I'm still here. Okay, this one is the outliner. There we go. What's the outliner for? It's for showing every mesh, actually every single object overall, but we're dealing with meshes now. We ask here if there's a bot. We just don't know. And we dive on the other side tube. Let's see. No, on the main site too, we are not live. There's a poll I have left telling people to come here if they want to get some inane ramblings. When are we moving to Blender.92? One. Open the stream cube. Alright. That said, we have the outliner, and it's pretty important because if you had something else like its arch nemesis cone, we have it here, cone and cube, and it's hidden because cube has won, I guess. We get to see it later, or we can just click here, come here and press delete to delete it, but if you move the mouse away, it will go away. You need to keep the mouse still, and then click, and now the cone is gone. We are rid of it. We'll see it again later. Anyway, another nifty thing about the outliner is that you can click here to hide stuff or to show it again. And there are other two, well, I explained this one. This one is to allow selecting or not. Now I'm clicking on it and not getting selected, but it's not something you usually need to use. Just keep in mind it's there. This one instead is pretty useful when you're filled with meshes and you just want to focus on a couple, let's say. If you only want to focus on one, there's a shortcut for that, but I'll tell you later. Now, back to the important stuff. If you click on a mesh, and right now we are in object mode. In object mode, we click, and we only can click on the meshes. If we want to move, you see, if I'm dragging this, I'm dragging the whole thing. And the funny thing about Blender is that once you start dragging, even if you are not holding the mouse button anymore, it just keeps going. You have to click to confirm. Or you can, after moving, as you said, fuck, I fucked up, I didn't want to drag that one. You can press escape to cancel. So that's why it asks you to confirm. You can also confirm with enter. Holy shit, that image. I guess my notebook is missing a couple scripts right now, because it's looking a little weird. Should look fine for you, I guess. You can also cancel. Yeah, that's something I don't usually do. Well, I do sometimes. You can cancel instead of pressing escape with right mouse button. Okay. Let's put it about here where it should have been. Yeah. Okay. That said, we were in object mode. If we click here, we have other modes. That's texture paint, which we don't usually use, but I'll show you eventually. Weight paint, which is the famous one. The new generation mode since 2017, let's say. Vertex paint, another one we don't usually use. Sculpt, that's useful for modeling. There's object mode and there's edit mode. This one is as useful as object mode. These two are the most useful ones. And you see that when you enter edit mode, you start seeing the components of the mesh that was selected. And here it becomes orange to say you are in the edit mode of that mesh. Also, I'm telling you right away, a cube in a cube. Yeah, there's some weird glitching sometimes. You see that if I zoom out, the cube inside gets smaller. And that's some weird things. And so this distance stays the same no matter how much you zoom in. It's just a Blender glitch. Anyway, I was saying you can switch between edit mode and object mode by just pressing tab. You see, tab. And that's very important because you'll often be switching between the two. So in edit mode, you can finally modify the cube as you wish. So drag, click, drag, click, drag, click. Now it's some kind of top-hats or stuff. And then you exit edit mode to get back to object mode and confirm the changes. Why do I say confirm the changes only when you exit edit mode? Because if you do Ctrl C here, it won't only undo the last thing you have done, it will undo everything you did while you were inside edit mode. Keyboard shortcuts. Yeah. And instead, inside edit mode, you can do this, do that, and undo one at a time. And as you see, I have to press Ctrl C twice, because the act of selecting something is in itself something that can be undone. That's a bit annoying, but also a bit useful, because if you were selecting a few things and then said, fuck, I didn't want to select that last one, you can do Ctrl C and try again. Now I did something that you don't know, and I'm gonna tell you in a second. So, just to finish that, you can edit a lot. If you exit, you have confirm. If you want to undo only the last thing you did and said, fuck, I have already exited edit mode, don't panic. You can enter again and you can still undo the last thing you have done. But if you undo here, you undo everything. So there are two layers, let's say. Object mode is the upper layer on which all meshes exist. Edit mode is the inner layer. It's like as if every mesh were a layer on Paint.net, Photoshop or GIMP, and the mesh itself, is a layer. And so in object mode you can edit layers between them and their relative positions, and you need to enter edit mode to edit the layer itself. Okay, now let's see. Yeah, let me talk you about the components of a mesh. We have these dots here. These are called vertices. There are infinitesimally small dots, kind of like an atom, but yeah, atoms can be divided further. Vertices cannot be divided further. They have no area, they have no length, they only exist, the only properties are the coordinates. And if we open now the end panel, for example, you can see the coordinates here. Vertex, it tells you 1 meter minus 1, 1. This one, 1, 1, 1. But just to tell you how it is behind the scenes. You don't need to look at that. Okay, that's a vertex, but as you know, the model is made of more than that. Next up is the thing that joins two vertices. It's called the edge. This one here is an edge. Now, how can I select it? There are two ways. You can, to select multiple things, you have to hold Shift and click on another thing. Now I have selected these two. There are other ways, but this is individual, let's say individually adding something to the selection is done with Shift. You can also take it away by clicking again while holding Shift. So now that we have selected two vertices, we have three things to selected. One vertex, two vertices, and the edge. But maybe I only wanted to select the edge. Well, you can do that. You need here to switch the selection type. It's vertex select, edge select, or the one we'll see later, face select. So with edge select, you can click directly on the edge without having to select two vertices. You can drag that one instead. It's a dancing cube. Okay, and that will come useful later. Come in useful. Now, the last element. Wherever I click, I only have the striped circle follow. Can edit the cube. You mean this circle here? If you click and the striped circle is following like this, which is happening for me with the right click instead of the left click, it means you have not, you are not using the default settings of the starter Blender pack. you're using either the default settings of Blender or customized settings. Because by default, Blender, if I go to user preferences, tells you select width left or right, and it's right by default. I have switched it for everyone because I know it is better for people to select width left. Is what people are used to. So feel free to change it here. Or if any other things are different, just grab the starter pack from scratch. That's what I would recommend. Otherwise, you can just click here and save user settings. Keep in mind that if you change a setting and close Blender, it will go back to what it was when you open Blender again. You need to save it. Everyone has their own workflow. Yeah, but if you're just starting out, you don't have a workflow. That's the point. So you have to do what I'll tell you. Then you can do whatever the fuck you want. Okay, that's said. And the last element, the last basic element, let's say, of an object, of a mesh, is a face. A face it's an element, it's actually a loop. It starts from one of those vertices. We don't know which, we don't care. And it joins each of them into a single element that's a face. And once you have a face, you can see the surface on it, on Blender. So, you can select it by clicking on each part of a face, and now we have selected 4 vertices, 4 edges, 1 face. And then you can move it by dragging again. Or you can select it by clicking selection by face. And you see that kind of like when selecting vertices, you get a dot. This dot is the middle point of the face and tells you where you should click to select that face. But you can click anywhere actually, but well, you need to click pretty close to it. And it tells you that because you can also select the ones that are behind you by default. There's a setting to avoid that, but for now we have that. You can select any face. If you want to select the one on the back, is there, and that's it. And as you see, a face can connect not just 3 vertices, but also 4 and even more. You can connect as many vertices as you want. When it's connecting 4 vertices, it's called a quad. When it's connecting 3 vertices, it's called a tree. And you can see here on the top right that it says, it tells you the count and all the statistics about the mesh you have selected. Verts, 4 selected, it also tells you how many you have selected, out of 8 total. Edges, we have 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Faces, well, it's a cube, we have seats. With that, you're working with quads instead of trees. I'm not gonna work with quads, it's just a cube. Just for now and with quads, but with Blender for PES, everything should preferably be in tree format. Yeah, when modeling, it is better to use quads because they are more flexible, they adapt better to stuff. But then they get turned into trees automatically by the plugins. So if you want to see how the end result will look like, you can turn them to trees yourself. You're forced to use trees only because game engines triangulate models. Yes, and we are working with PES for Blender. We don't care about the rest. Blender for PES. We don't care about the rest. But yeah, we normally use quads for models because they're more comfortable. There's no reason to triangulate models yourself. There is kind of a reason because it affects the way normals show up. But let's get into that later, please. Let's not get into details now because we're dealing with beginners. Alright. We can revert the cube to how it was before. Everything's the triangles. And Let's try applying an image to it. Right now there is no image on it, and actually we have something here. Let me show you first, which is the shading. It is solid by default. You can also these three are not useful for now, but you can show wireframe. That lets you see the whole geometry of the model. When it's a complex model, it's sometimes better to see it as a wireframe, so you can see all the details. Anyway, let's go back to solid. Or actually, let's go to texture. When it's texture, you see you get no shading. Work with trees, with ripped models. Yeah, work with whatever the model came in. Okay, if you select texture, it becomes a shadeless model. When you're working with enemy models and all that stuff, you should use that shading. But for now, we're gonna use it just because it's what allows us to show the texture on it right away, without using materials and all that weird stuff, which we'll talk about later. So now we're in the edit mode, and we finally see some more geometry again. And, well, how do we apply a texture to a model? In very easy terms, we need something called a UV map. What the fuck is UV? Well, it comes from the fact that the coordinates of a vertex are in the X, Y, Z plane. So we have X, Y, Z. Those are 3 coordinates. If we want to get 2 more coordinates, we get 5D system, we can use the ones coming before. So UV, and there are some that use W, but forget about that. U and V. Those are 2 coordinates. And those 2 coordinates are shown on this other space. U and V. For U. So we apply a map, and well, I'm gonna do something you don't need to learn right now. We're gonna see more in detail later, but when you're dealing with a model, it usually comes with UVs already. I'm gonna create some UVs for this cube. So, and you can do it with U, pressing U. And for this cube, let's do cube projection. Do I need to align it? I think I need to align it. Let's undo. So I need to align it with the view. How to align things? This is something I didn't tell you already. Didn't tell you yet. And you can use the numpad as you see here. And with 1, you see it from the front. And with 3, you see it from a side. With 5, no, don't use 5. With 7, you see it from the top. It's kind of like how it's shown on the numpad. And with the default settings, you also can use the non-numpad numbers. That's useful in case you're using a laptop without a numpad. Anyway, for now, I'm pressing 1, then U to do some mapping, and then keep projection. That's weird. I thought that we're supposed to do... That's usually that usually shows you across. Let's try this one. That's a little better, I guess. It's not the best, but we just want a picture in it. Yeah, you can do from view, but that gets into more advanced stuff, and I just want a UV map. Don't care about how I did this. Let's assume the model came with this already. Now, to assign a texture, you just do open. You need to make sure all the vertices are selected. How do you do that? By pressing A. A for all. With A, you select all or deselect all. If one vertex is selected, it will deselect it. If nothing is selected, it will select all. So, when everything is selected, you can open, grab a random pick, I guess. Just to see, this is this one. Okay, now let's do something more sheer detail to that. Let's do the dose. There we go. So you see it's all kind of scrambled. That's normal. But it allows us to see how UVs work. So since the UVs here are, as I said, additional coordinates of the vertices we can see here, these are actually vertices in a way. And if we move a vertex here, we first click on it and then move it. Well, we're doing some weird stuff. I'm gonna do something that I show you later how to do, but there we go. So now they are independent. Okay. If you move a vertex, for example, this one, we can see that this face, this square here is this face here. It's a bit angled, but it's this one. If we select this and move it, it moves. And why does it move? Because just think about it. This is telling that this vertex must have this point of the texture. If we move it towards the ear, you will see that this vertex has the ear, as we said here. If we move it towards the eye will be on the vertex. So that's how they work. And we usually select faces. For example, we again switch to selection by faces. We click on a face and we can drag it. And you see, if you wanted to put Piccolo's face straight in there, you can do it. And now, well, I want it straight. How do I do that? You use rotate. Let's see. Okay, you can get it from the UVs menu, transform, rotate, because translating, rotating, and resizing are all transformations. Or you can just press R, as you see here, and clicking, and now it gets rotated. But I have to introduce this too, I guess. Why is it rotated around that thing there? And what is that thing? This thing here is called the 2D cursor, and it's the brother, the little brother, this thing here. This one is called the 3D cursor, and you can put it wherever you want. Well, it's not useful like that, I guess, but you'll see later why it's usually used as a pivot. And here, for example, we can put it here with right click again, and if we rotate around that. But if you just want to rotate it around itself, you can change the pivot type. I hope I'm not getting too much into the complex, but let's think of something you rotate around as the pivot. To change the pivot to make it this point here, you have to come here. Rotation scaling pivot. Right now is the 2D cursor. You click and you do, well, you get many choices. Individual origins, 2D cursor, medium point. This is the other default one, bounding both center. Once you click on that, you can rotate, against I press R this time, around this itself. And now he's getting a bit DC, I guess. But there we go. Oh, let's do it like that. Much better. Okay, let's place another one. This one, if you want to know where it is, just click on it and it will tell you here what it is. Because we have something that links the selection from one panel to the other. Let's put this one here. To move something again, just drag on it, or you can press G. G is for translating, or G. And we put it here. I guess we can rotate it. Because I want it... no, I have no idea. Anyway, something interesting. You can see that if the UV goes outside, what do we get outside? here. This is what the part that goes outside. And we're getting part of Piccolo's shoulder. So here we're getting this thing here. In short, the texture by default wraps around the UVs. Or I should say that the UVs wrap around the texture. Yeah, that's more precise. So let's do this. Okay, this is better. I wanted this part top and this. I pressed H, which is for hiding, but you don't need to know that yet. Well, I guess that's enough for those. So we can move the others to wherever. So if we want to put this here, we can select it here and drag it here. So again, you can select stuff either here or here. You're working in 5D here. So just think in 5D. So we wanted this here and we rotate it. And now it works a little better. We move it here, now it's kind of aligned. Now this looks pretty good for a cube. Alright, that's the basics of UVs. If you want to do transforms like that, you should type it. Like that, you mean? If you mean translate, well, you can translate. You can translate by typing this. Yeah, I know that. Thank you very much, but I'm telling the absolute basics of Blender. Keep that in mind, please. Okay, and feel free to get unleashed when we get to the advanced part, which will be in a few weeks, I guess. Considering how it's going. Okay, and something else. We'll get into materials. Well, just know they exist, because if you go to solid view, it's still there. Never mind. See? Okay. By default, well, you have that, but normally, even after you set a texture on something with a UV editor, I mean, that's all you care about for Path, actually. The UVs are fine, how you want it. You can export the model and you can take care of the rest on the MTL if you're working on pre-phots, or the materials if you're working on phots. So we checked out now. Let's move on. Yeah, let's just move on. Actually, first I'm gonna show you the cube we had before. I mean the cone. And I'm just gonna show you just before we move out that you see if you're in edit mode, you can only edit the stuff from the. I'm trying to click here, but it does nothing. From the mesh you have selected. So if you want to select and edit another mesh, you have to exit edit mode, click on the mesh, and enter edit mode. And that's why you have to use tab so often. That's a cone, wiggly cone. Okay. Now, if we want to clean, the environment, the layout, we can do File, and that's it's not here. There we go. New. Reload the startup file, and then we go to the start with the same angle and everything. Now, let's grab a significant gaps on basic selection sheet like this. Yeah. You can edit multiple meshes simultaneously in modern Blender, and you can also do it here actually. And I'm gonna show this guy very quickly, but do not mind me right now. You can click on one, shift click on the other, see multi-edit enter. And now you can edit both. It simply gives each of the two a different vertex group that tells it where did it come from. So when you edit, and you still have the originals in case something goes wrong. They're just hidden. But on this multi-edit mesh, when you do exit, it deletes the originals and splits itself according to the vertex groups. So yeah, you can do that on all Blender too with a plugin. Okay, that said, again, new, and do not move it away because Blender is a bit experimental like that. Something I forgot to say, let's just use this. When you're doing stuff like click and G to move, or click on and R to rotate and other stuff, keep in mind that pressing the button only works if the mouse cursor is on the panel on which you want to do your operation. So if you press G here, it will start translating. If you move it here and press G, it will do nothing because it's they do some random with this, because let's say you have this selected on both sides. If you press G, which one will get moved? This one or this one? Well, it depends on where the cursor is. It's here or if it's here. So the Blender is panel aware for its shortcuts. Keep that in mind, it's pretty important. Again, file new. So now let's grab a template. I have prepared a page here, aesthetics templates, which certain guy has improved. Looks pretty nice now. I really hope both FOTS and pre-FOTS templates are included in each, but we'll see that now. Let's do a cut head. We have seen enough of the cube already. We have, I see. I think they should be both the same folder, but you can just do download here, I guess. Yeah, it's made for being downloaded like this. So again on the FOSS folder or temporary folder, and it's here. So let's do pre-FOTS, because right now we are in the pre-FOTS era. I'm gonna tell you about FOTS 2 later. And separate front and back or two-sided. Yeah, and these are the ones I made a while ago. Two-sided has one picture. Man, here is better to use these display items. Texture, and you see, the texture gives you front and back. It's just one picture that goes on both sides. Or we can do separate front and back. Since we are grown-ups, I guess. No, let's do two-sided. We are babbies. So I'm gonna copy this pass, or you can just follow it from scratch. So again, here we have a cardhead.model, a materials.mtl, which we'll see later, and a texture.dds. If you're a very beginner manager, very early and huge beginner that only wants to make a card head, and that's fine for an invitational team, you can grab this template. You don't need to even know what these two have. You can just edit the texture. How do I edit a DDS? Well, the absolute recommendation is to install paint.net. Which is here. You can just type paint. And you get this. So fuck. you should either use Google to search for paint.net. Use GIMP and have it give you an error. Good suggestions. Gratis. And come here, or you type get paint.net, but this is fine anyway. If it takes you here, just keep in mind that the download is here on the top right. It's not here. So you grab it, download it, and again, be careful because the first one here takes you to the Microsoft Store. It's a paid version. The only advantage is, well, funding the developer, I guess that's fine, and getting automatic updates. But here is free. Once you have installed it, you can just double click on the DDS and it will fire up with paint.net. Do not, it makes mustard gas. Let me check the thread if... That is a better stream, thanks. Give me a second. Okay. Also, if I'm too quiet or that stuff, let me know. Leveling the sound is always hard. Anyway, if you open the texture, you get it here. You can zoom in, zoom out with Control scroll wheel. You can just drag a Venice in it, like that. Okay, you can use a picture on it. So pictures.cc, and let's put Condor. So if you drag it, it says open or add as a layer. The problem with adding as a layer is it changes the size of your texture, and that's a big no, because the size of a texture is very important to avoid crashes. So let's undo. Let's keep it at 512 per 512, which is a power of 2. Do you know your power of 2 is 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048, 4096. And that's all you need to know. After that comes the weird ones. And so, as long as both sides are power of 2, they can be different powers of 2. That's fine too, but you should usually not change the aspect ratio unless you really know what you're doing. For now, we just keep it like that. Let's say you're a fucking fag and want to have a higher resolution because you know the stream will be shown at 4K. So you can resize it with Ctrl R and do, well, we do 1024. That's still fine. But it needs to be a power of 2. The thing I don't like about Paint.net is that when you manually resize your picture, it doesn't do it linearly like most other software. What do you mean with linearly? Because you cannot resize it manually by using these tools here. If you mean this, I know what you mean now. No, I don't know what you mean, because if you change it here, it changes both sides because it's got maintained aspect ratio. So, what the fuck did he mean like that? Well, you also get multiple choices for the scaling. That's a good thing to notice, yeah. By default, I think you get adaptive, sharp, or font, or line source. These three are great actually. Bicubic is good, not great, not terrible. Bilinear is pretty bad, especially if you choose low quality. That's made for speed. Nearest Neighbor is the odd one out of the bunch, because it's made for resizing stuff while keeping it, let's say, pixelated. Let's assume we got a 32 per 62 texture, and we just select and, well, It's a blended tutorial, but let's assume you don't know Paint.net either. You can, after selecting with this tool here, you can fill it with a foreground color by pressing backspace. And then you can click away to deselect. Or you can fill it with a background color by pressing Shift backspace. And now we got this. So if we make a circle here, and let's do it sharp like that. Okay. Let's assume this is our friendly little guy. Very nice. And we want to keep it like that. Now, if we scale it to very high quality, 1024, it's all a fucking blurry mess. Fuck. And that's because I was using Lanczos, it's kinda weird. Let's use a more normal one like Adaptive Sharp. And I didn't scale. It's still pretty blurry, look like that. You even get kinda bennies. Let's try another. I have never tried doing this. Let's try font. Okay, font makes more sense. And the last one makes sense. Bicubic. Okay, prefer font for most stuff, usually. But if you use nearest neighbor, ta-da! You get the same exact stuff, huh? But instead of having one pixel here, two pixels here, and one pixel here, we can zoom in, click this to show the grid, and we can see it's like 32 pixels per pixel, because it does an integer scaling. So, for many things, that's not better, but for exactly retro stuff, pixel art, it is very convenient. And it's definitely convenient compared to keeping it at 32. You say, this is the original anyway, what the fuck do I care? Well, let's see what happens. This is now our texture. And let's take off the grid. The grid is also useful for making pixel art. You see, you get the individual pixels and you can paint it and undo. I have no face and I must smile. Okay, back to Blender. As I was saying, we have a .model file because models in preflots, which is PES 14, 15, 16, 17, are preflots. We get .model and we have two plugins here for .model and FMDL. FMDL is the one used by FOTS. It's the abbreviation of FOTS model. So .model. And where the fuck do we go? Well, we unzip it to the desktop, right? So we can go to the desktop. Otherwise, if we really have no idea, we just go to C and look for it. So I know my desktop is on data, it's not on users my name because I'm a hipster. I put everything in data, so that is easier to move to other drives later. And here's the desktop, here's the FOSS folder, here's the card head, and we were on preflots, two-sided, and there we go. So double click, and there we have it. Alright, now remember what I told you earlier. How do we assign a texture to a model? We have to enter edit mode, make sure that everything's selected. And now this looks like an S because these are triangles, these are not two quads, but don't care about that. And we click on open. And fuck, do we have to go again there? No, it's on recent. Just click here. We have the texture. And fuck, you see it's all blurry. Kinda like when we upscale it, but look at the texture. We didn't upscale it. So why does it look like that? Because the render engine takes stuff that's too small for the viewport, for the stuff you want to render, and does some scaling. In this case, it's bilinear stuff, bilinear scaling, which is the worst one. So even if you were fine with the various filters we have tried, you still get the worst one. But yeah, if you want pixel art, you need to scale it to a high quality size. Even so, it will look much larger than it has any right to be. It doesn't matter, it's fine. When it gets compressed, it will get compressed a lot. And we save it here. Now that we have saved, and let's also add some hair. But that's not good. Let's do it here. Just to show the proper difference. Oh fuck, it's Shite Yanyo now. Anyway. Here we are again. We save it. We go back to Blender and fuck. It's still the old one. Because Blender does not update in real time. How do we update it? I do an image. Reload image. Or you can press Alt R. And now it's using the newer version of the texture, and you can see that it's much better. It's still getting filtered a little, but it's not something you will notice. Definitely not on stream. It looks fine from here. You see that it's the same on both sides, but it's actually mirrored. You can see that this part has 2 steps, and this part has 3 steps. And if we go to the other side, the part on the left is the one with 2 steps, and this one has 3 steps. So this template here, well, you can customize it, but it comes with mirrored sides. If we use another texture, for example, the actual Shite Yanyo, you see that on one side is fine, the other is mirrored. Looking from one side and from the other. He's still looking at you. Alright, that's, I guess it's, let's see, might be enough for today, but let's take a look at the oldest kind, and then we can finish for today. I want to keep these streams short and easy to digest. So we can clean everything again by using new, but I do it with Ctrl N, so Ctrl N, click. Again, let's go back here and let's take a look at the other one, separate front and back. This one uses 2 textures. One says front, suppose transparency, and the other back, suppose transparency. Oh right, the one from before also suppose transparency, so if we take the texture and we do something like magic wand and do this, Ctrl click and this, and then delete, and we have transparency, and then save it and go back and import this all stuff we have just done. Two-sided, cut head, and again click, tab, open, two-sided. You see how easy stuff is when you're used to it. Open the texture and we're back, but now we have transparency. We can see it, now the square is a little annoying. And it's not what you see on PES. You won't see this square on PES. So how do we see what we'll see on PES? We have to have nothing selected. So, like in edit mode, and let me grab the start again, this thingy, because you have to start it every time. You press A. Caps lock. Caps lock is none. Okay. And now we have a floating head that again, you get 2 here and you get 2 here. And that's good. And this floating head will be the basis for your revolution, for your model, I mean. You can put it on a PES player on which you have not removed the body, and it looks fine. It's actually better than an actual card head because it doesn't look like a card head. It's all thanks to transparency. You can rewatch all this over here. Yeah, there's the YouTube for the VOD, and there's also Twitch if you want it in slightly better quality. Because Twitch accepts the full bandwidth, but either is fine. Or you can press Shift Alt Z. Modern Blender, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna start ignoring every tip about Modern Blender, by the way. People on chat can read it if they want. Okay. Again, Control N, reload. Refloats, separate front and back. And again, we have back and front separate next time. So we can open both. I'm gonna drag them to paint.net. And what do we want to do? Open. Okay. And now, something we wanted to do before and I forgot to do. We grab Gondola. And add layer, no, I told you that's not good. So let's open it. We select everything with Ctrl A. We copy it with Ctrl C. And then we grab the front and paste it. But isn't that the same stuff we just wanted to do? No, it's a little different because on Paint.net, when pasting, it says it is larger than the canvas size. What do we want to do? And you can expand the canvas, and that's what we did before, and it does by default when just dragging a picture. Or you can say, I want to keep the current canvas. You will have to move the pasted image around. So that's fine. Tack. And now Gondola is a little cut away. But we can still move it because for as long as the image has not been finalized, let's say, we can still move it around. So let's put it like that. And we can click away. No, we cannot do that because there's a selection. We can press enter, there we go, to confirm. And that's not only the selects, it also finishes the selection. These are two different steps. Why are they different? Because the finish selection step confirms what you have pasted, and now if you move it, you see you don't have the rest of the image anymore. It's gone. And again, if you enter now, you can select, but there's nothing. Every time you have a little less of Gondola, and the world is a bit less happy. So let's undo everything and let's keep it like that. Okay. Okay, this is fine and we can save it as it is. Okay, and this is something we didn't talk about earlier. We haven't talked about. Saving settings. You might have heard about DXT and BC7. So these things on the top left are the compression types. You start with the basic one, which is DST1. We have DST3, which we never use. DST5 is another one we use. Ignore the rest. There is BC7, which is in advanced type. Very efficient. Takes a long time to save. And is only used on Podspec, so let's ignore that now. And the last one I'm gonna tell you about is uncompressed. Because these ones are compressed. These ones here are uncompressed, and the numbers tell you how many bits are on each color. So we have R8, G8, which has no blue. So fuck. Anyway, the first one is the important one. It's called, ignore the numbers, BGRA, or also called ARGB. So I usually call it RGB uncompressed. If you use this, instead of getting a size, texture size that is 341.5 kilobyte, you get 4 times as much. Because this is the raw picture. It's like saving a BMP. You get the full quality. If instead you use compression, let's switch back to DST5. Look at this part here. You see how it's all grainy now. Kinda like a JPEG. If I knew what that was, but what that is. Well, it's something you have to bear with, I guess. Usually when you get far enough away from it, you don't notice it. Or let's make an example of stuff that really gets fucked by compression. Red stuff. Let's add a couple red dots. Let's do them with anti-aliasing. And this one too. There we go. Now, if we try to save it, we go to uncompressed. Again, we get the same stuff. If we compress this D5, okay, you see this one, it gets a little weirder. This still looks fine here. There are some pictures which, I mean, look at this shit here, for example. Compressed is like this, and compress is all. But again, it usually looks fine. Only use uncompressed when you have something that really needs to look good. For example, a stadium pitch. You're looking at that all the time. It's extremely upscaled. It needs to look great. It doesn't matter if it's 10 megabyte or 20 megabyte. It's only one file for the whole match. It needs to look good. Okay, and finally, there's also DST1. DST1 is half the size of DST5. So, why? Because, let me do something here. I need to do... Let me do that here, in the back. Let's pick red, and for the back, let's pick a transparent red. And let's do this one, which is... where is it? This one, gradient. Ah, fuck. I need to delete everything and then do the gradient. Okay. Now we have a gradient from fully opaque red to fully transparent red. If we grab the color picker, you will see that. Is that working? We have to unselect. I have never seen this. Let me see. We have to select everything. Color pick. No. Anyway. I have no idea why it's not working. Let's see. Maybe it is. No. I was expecting the opacity here. Ah, wait. Maybe like this. Okay, because it was selecting for the main color. Fucking hell. And I was looking at their secondary color. So let's go back to the main color. Let's use the color picker, and you can see that when I scroll over it, the color is always the same, and the alpha of the color is what changes. The alpha indicates how opaque is the color. So now, if we try to save this in DST5, well, it still looks fine. You cannot even see the weird stuff from before. In this texture, using DST5 or using uncompressed is visually the same. But if we go DST5, DST1, look at what happens. You get a pattern because it does. See, I was expecting something different actually. Area of diffusion dithering. Okay, we used not to have this. Now, this is what normally happens. You get a threshold, which is half of the alpha range, and you get full opaque on one side and full transparent on the other side. Why does this happen? Because unlike DST5, which supposed semi-transparency, because it's got extra bits for storing the alpha, the full range of the alpha, DST1 only has one bit for storing the alpha of each color. How many different values can you have with one bit? Well, you have the 0 and you have the 1, and that's it. So you can have two values. You can have 0 alpha, and you can have 1 alpha, which in this case means full alpha, means 255 actually. So you cannot store semi-transparency. And this means, and you can see that this new technology here does something that, like in the comics, putting less and less dots, fewer and fewer dots, the more transparent you want to be. So it kind of looks like a semi-transparency, but it's fake. It's all made of pure and purely opaque and purely transparent pixels. Anyway, and I was saying, yeah. So for a texture like this one, you can just use DST1 and it will look, I mean, even the part that looks bad on DST5 will look pretty much the same. So you don't lose quality, even so it's half as big. You only lose the support for semi-transparency. And again, you don't lose support for transparency. You still have transparency. If we grab this part here and delete it, and this is transparent, you can save DST1, and it's still transparent because it supports it. You do not have semi-transparency. So when do we have semi-transparency? Well, when saving a texture, for example, with hair from an MMD or with eyes, or stuff, even just a logo which has smoothed outlines. Let me grab a logo. We should have this, but something different. Oh, this one, I love it. So you see this part here is semi-transparent. So let's scale it to 112, 512. Let's put it here. And again, if we are on DST5, this part here, well, it's all compressed, but it looks fine. DST1, now you see the issue. The borders are all sharp and it looks pretty bad, even from away. And this part here, this is all supposed to have semi-transparency around it. DST5 looks, holy shit, much better. Look at this and look at this. So the teaching from all of these is, if in doubt, when in doubt, go DST5. So for 90% of cases, DST5 is fine. When you want to make a huge texture, for example, you want this or the gondola from before in 4K, but not because it's gondola, but because you have a lot of detail into it and the model is gonna go up on a huge surface, and you have no semi-transparency, you can, look at that, it's taking a lot. Instead of using 21 megabytes of space, you can save half of it by going DST1. So that's good. On the other case, if it's something small or it's something you want to preserve the details of, go uncompressed. You're gonna spend more size, more weight, more file size. For example, for this, if we go uncompressed, it's not 10, it's not 21, it's 85. But again, for a stadium, it can be worth it. It can be worth it. That's all about Paint.net, I guess. So back to 512. Let's save it. DST5 is fine. Even so, DST1 will be smaller, doesn't matter. This one, let's save it for the back. And DST5 is fine. And we have also this stuff here. For this, always make sure that generate bitmaps is on. It should be on by default, but I'm gonna tell you in the future what those are. Just keep in mind from now that they are important. Even so, they make the file size a little larger. They make it a third larger. Okay. Now we have the front and the back. Let's open the model. So we can either go from scratch to that pass again, or we can go to two-sided. Let's go back, and we can go to the front. And we can use this one. So again, we have this one. Let's open gondola. And we have here. And the back, because the back, if we open this is a container. Let's call it a container. It's actually called an empty, but that's a weird name. Let's call it a folder or a container. Or another better name is apparent. It's here on the ground. It's this thing here. We'll explain it later what it's done, what it's for. So, front is what we selected earlier. We have to select back, or we can just click on it. You see back, the back is selected. So again, tab to enter edit mode. Let me again open this thingy. Tab, tab, tab. Open, or you can do Alt O. Alt O is faster, maybe. You can come here and back. So we exit, we unselect as before, and you see that, well, it has the transparency, great, it works. And the front has gondola. But now you might ask, why is the transparency not showing gondola? That's for next time. See you later. Well, really, that should tell you more or less most of the stuff. Then the stuff I wanted to talk about after this is how to compose an aesthetics export and what each element in it is for, and compiling and testing it best. But let's take a look at that next time. Let's give it at an hour and a half maximum. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that, and see you next time. Will be next Thursday at about an hour after cap time. Today I had an unexpected appointment with a dentist, but it's fine. It happens. Alright, bye.